You may not have realized it, but the terms joy and happiness are often used interchangeably, even though they have much different definitions, causes, and responses. In today's episode, we are going to define them, learn how to identify, as well as navigate ourselves through them. But most importantly, learn how we can bring a little joy to the world ourselves. Stay tuned. Joy to the world is a message that resounds through speakers, whether you're in the car or a shopping mall, and it's seen everywhere from greeting cards to decorative signs in Hobby Lobby this time of year. But what does it look like to experience this joy in the world? Or even better, in your personal life? In order to pursue it, we first have to understand what it is. Or better yet, what it is not. Like I mentioned earlier, the words joy and happiness are often used interchangeably because there's a common misconception that they're one and the same thing. However, in describing our everyday lives, they may be used differently. Ask someone to define happiness, and they might give you one of two perspectives: an example of a momentary emotion of joy, or a long-term state of contentment, well-being, and satisfaction. Joy is often referred to as a feeling or an emotion, while happiness may be used to define satisfaction. So why is it so important to distinguish between the two then? Mostly because once you understand the difference, you will be able to more clearly identify each of them and respond to the events to better be able to manage them for your own personal growth and well-being, as well as contributing joy to the world. Let's start by defining happiness. Now, happiness has a surface level definition, which looks like this. It's a temporary or momentary emotional state influenced by external factors. Here's some examples. You had a good day at work. You received a compliment. You just enjoyed your favorite meal. Or you're getting what you want for Christmas, etc. Some key characteristics of happiness are that it has an external focus, is dependent on external circumstances, events, or people, and it's short-term. It typically only lasts as long as the external factor that brought it on. It's mostly pleasure-seeking and often tied to the pursuit of pleasure or comfort, which at times can seem a little selfish. If the only things that make you happy are the external things that you want. So, in contrast, let's focus on defining joy. Because on the other hand, joy has a deeper definition. It's a more profound internal feeling that develops and it remains even in the face of adversity. Some examples of joy include finding peace despite challenges, a sense of purpose, or inner contentment. Some of the key characteristics of joy are having the internal focus, which means it's not reliant on external circumstances, and it's long-term. It can potentially endure even when life gets difficult. It instills a deeper connection with a purpose because it's often linked to a sense of meaning or personal fulfillment. And we'll take a deeper dive into this soon when we discuss our personal mission and vision statements. So, on the emotional spectrum, let's discuss how joy and happiness differ. The most obvious is that happiness is a reaction because it often arises in response to pleasurable experiences. It brings short bursts of excitement or contentment, like when you buy a new outfit or you go out for ice cream. Whereas joy is more of a state of being. It has a deeper emotional foundation that transcends temporary fleeting events. It is more deeply rooted in acceptance, inner peace, and is usually connected to having a spiritual purpose. The reaction to challenges with joy versus happiness. During hard times, when external circumstances are tough, happiness can tend to wane, dissipate, and often feel unattainable. Some examples include dealing with financial struggles, challenges in relationships like conflict, breakups, or even divorce, chronic or major health issues, which can be anything from a long-term injury to cancer. On the other hand, maintaining joy in hard times can intentionally be implemented because joy is often more resilient and can persist even through hardships. Ideas to cultivate this include finding and even documenting gratitude in your life, journaling or moments of self-reflection, and developing your spiritual growth. In fact, the Bible often uses the word joy instead of happiness. Finding the term happiness in the Bible is rare. Instead, the Bible focuses on joy. Did you know, according to the Bible, Jesus wants to promote peacemaking and help people find a joyful heart. He talks about salvation and redemption through joy and peace. And he describes how you might be able to have inner joy even when difficult or traumatic situations occur. Focusing on a relationship with God and living for eternity makes it much easier for Christians to experience internal joy in challenging times. Maybe this is why we see the resounding joy to the world so often at this time of year. I'll share some scriptural examples in a bit. Now, it's important to recognize the impact of external factors and how we respond to them. It's important to notice how events like achieving success, getting rewards, or social approval can contribute to your happiness, especially since this can encourage an addiction to these things just for those momentary feelings. Remember, they can be fleeting or unstable, depending on how much we rely on them. And remember that joy is more of an internal process. Cultivating joy is more about your attitude and mindset than your circumstances. Practices like mindfulness, gratitude, and self-compassion will enhance your joy, regardless of your external conditions. However, don't get me wrong, there are benefits for both. For example, happiness releases endorphins and boosts your immediate mood, your motivation, and your engagement with life. But beware, it may also lead to dependency on external validation. And joy promotes a deeper, long-lasting sense of resilience, well-being, emotional stability with lasting satisfaction, and can even lower your stress levels, leading to improved mental health. I am currently working on this one. And now, beautiful dreamer, let's talk about how to cultivate a healthier outlook on happiness and joy. So for happiness, engage in life-building activities that bring you pleasure. This can be anything from being creative to taking a vacation. Nurture your social relationships. Engage in fun experiences that you enjoy, but that also includes others. As you create and pursue goals, celebrate your achievements and your small wins. Now for joy, practice gratitude, some mindfulness journaling, and don't forget healthy self-care. Cultivate a sense of purpose through your personal goals and your spiritual goals. See episodes 9 and 19 if you need more information on these. Foster self-acceptance of where you are currently and what you're doing to become the woman you were created to be. For example, if finances are tight, you can still cultivate joy by having a game night with friends and family. Finally, remember the key differences between joy and happiness. Happiness is short-term and joy is long-term. Happiness is based on external circumstances, while joy is based internally. However, it's also important to acknowledge and focus on a healthy balance of both of these in your life. Beautiful dreamer, I would encourage you to begin to explore how you can invite more joy into your life this Christmas season, while also appreciating moments of happiness. Our timeless truth for today is recognizing that true well-being comes from understanding and integrating both joy and happiness, while also recognizing while one might be more appropriate or sustainable than the other. So whatever season you find yourself in at this time, I want to encourage you with these verses from the Bible. In James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, it says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. Because when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." And another popular verse comes from Philippians 4, verses 11 through 13, And Paul says, I don't speak in regard to need because I've already learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I also know what it's like to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether I'm well fed or I'm still hungry, whether I'm living with plenty or I'm living in want, because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now, I know these may seem a little harsh if you're in a challenging season. So I want to share an exercise with you. I want you to think of a difficult scenario you're currently going through, or one that you may have experienced previously, where it wasn't easy to distinguish between joy and happiness. Now, practice this exercise. Place both hands in front of you, palms up, and ask yourself these questions. What is in my control, left hand, and what is out of my control, right hand? Remembering that joy is not predicated on your external circumstances, things that are in your control, but it is most evident during the seasons when things are out of your control. For example, a cancer diagnosis or loss of a loved one, etc. Eventually, as you continue to practice this exercise, you will simply come up against a situation and be able to place your hands in front of you as you mentally ask, what's in my control and what's out of my control. This will begin to be so beneficial in growing your inner joy, as well as taking off some of the stress and pressure. Now, remember Psalm 28, verse 7. It says, "The Lord is my strength and my shield. I trust in him with all of my heart because he helps me. And then my heart is filled with joy. I burst out in songs of thanksgiving." Beautiful dreamer, I am thankful for you and recognizing that circumstances will change like the weather. We're always going to have days of sadness, happiness, stress, and maybe a couple of them thrown in there with hormones. But God's desire is for us to cultivate the fruit of joy within us. I'm praying that this episode was helpful, although challenging for you. And hopefully you will share it with a friend that can benefit from recognizing the difference between joy and happiness, so that we can become an integral part of proclaiming joy to the world, no matter what season we find ourselves in. Assured of the fact that our circumstances do not dictate our joy, and our happily ever after isn't a lie.